And one of my biggest like aha moments for myself and my clients is, do you have a weight problem or do you have a worth problem? If we don't raise our awareness and we don't figure out who we are and you don't voice who you are, those nagging symptoms, they're going to be there forever. Or you're going to get to your weight loss goal and you're going to still feel an empty feeling of, why don't I feel better?
Hello, hello. Yeah, that like 2 to 3 hellos. I think that's my signature hello. So we're going to answer the question today, the mindset and the mentality of being a pro athlete. So today we're talking to Amy, who is a pro basketball player, and we're going to have this conversation on, sometimes it feels in a healing journey, in a wellness journey, it feels like you're the only one with that all or nothing mentality. And I want to expand on that today and talk about why and how we become programmed and, that nervous system loop, that negative feedback loop that we're going to talk about a lot in this conversation. How does that affect our nervous system in general? How does that affect chronic illness? How does that affect autoimmune? And how does that affect all the quote unquote setbacks on what happens in our chronic illness journey, what happens in that, and how do we deal with that? Because one of my main things, and me and Amy, we've been talking about this since like we met what, almost like a year ago, Amy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And we've been talking about the rest but don't quit mantra, right? So let's get into it. Amy, hello. Thank you for
Hello.
being here. Welcome. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Amy. I am a former professional athlete. I played professionally. I played basketball all over the world. I played in Australia, Spain, Puerto Rico, Romania, and Poland. And I played Division One at Arizona State, where we were the first team in the women's program to not only make the NCAA tournament, but we made the Sweet 16 round. So anybody that is into March Madness as much as I am will know that that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, so I played until I was 30 years old. I retired, and not having lived in the States for almost 8 years, coming back, settling down. I was in a brand new relationship, which is now my husband. God bless that man, who went through a lot of the identity crisis and just the figuring it out. I'd always felt a lot of stress around what my teammates thought of me. I felt a lot of stress around, obviously, performance. I felt a lot of stress around the controlling of my personality on the court and kind of being deemed as the aggressive bitch, and looping that with who I was off the court, and making sure that people knew that even though I had this really aggressive, competitive, like badass part of me, but please, I just need you to know that I am a really nice person. And so I did a lot of proving in that way, or trying to prove in that way. And that obviously led very much into when I came back to the States and, just getting a job and trying to figure all that out. So shortly after I retired, about 3 years, I was diagnosed with my second autoimmune disorder, which is Hashimoto's, which affects your thyroid. And I was born with the first. And so, yeah, I've just, through kind of talking with Jetta, and I think a lot of women that have gone through any sort of thyroid, autoimmune, or any sort of chronic health or health issues, just, battled to find that support from our medical system. And that kind of led me to kind of combining, the leadership and the mentality and the stubbornness of saying there's no way I'm not going to settle to live my life feeling like this. And then combining that kind of coaching side too, now that I've kind of gone through my journey to helping other women feel better and not settle. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
not settle, right?
condensed
That's the thing.
version.
I'm actually curious, what was your first chronic illness or autoimmune?
So my first one, it has to do with the lungs and the liver. My grandmother had it. My biological grandmother, she actually passed from it. It's called, I have to, I usually don't talk about it that much. It's, let me think about it, because I can't, it's
Okay, yeah, yeah.
antitrypsin, but it has to do with trypsin, how your
Okay,
body, creates trypsin.
wait,
So
strips.
yeah.
Okay, okay. I know someone else that does this now. She's also a fitness coach. And
Mm,
me and her go back and forth about that because it doesn't have to do a lot with the liver too. So I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah. I
There's a
believe
lot
it's
of
called alpha 1
similarities.
antitrypsin deficiency. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a chronic illness. Okay. So a few things, a few questions. I want to talk about the leadership that
Mhm.
we are that is instilled in us in the sport. And then how does that affect the mindset and the mentality around kind of like what your next move is in your
Mhm.
own journey? So something that I've gone really being mindful about it and really recognizing this is that the mindset and the mentality that I had in gymnastics, it was almost like it was like two sides to my brain. There is two sides to my brain, but it was two sides that didn't correlate with each other, right? And it felt like at gymnastics, I had to be okay, be okay, be okay. Because I'm sure you know this is like if you are on the court or you're at a meet and you're like, man, my stomach is cramping up, right? Like you can't be like on the beam and like doing all this stuff. You're like, oh my God, like you can't be, right? So we shove so many emotions, so many symptoms down. And when that stopped, I remember being specifically last night, I was talking to one of my one-on-one clients about this actually. I don't believe you have to kill off the person that you were before or let go of the life that you had before. I'm a really strong believer of I think there's so much to learn about that person. And I feel like there is almost like a grieving, but it's a grieving of like this person and that side of me now needs to teach this side what to
Mm.
do or what not to do. Right. And so
Mhm.
now there's all these symptoms and it's without creating hyper awareness. I'm big on that too, right? Like do the things without creating hyper awareness. And how do you do that? Right. And so one of my things is learning from the past of, being on the beam or being on bars or whatever and competing in these like really big competitions. But I mean, I competed one year at nationals with a broken toe, competed.
Mhm.
And that was normal. That's normal, right? So I can't even explain, saying, oh yeah, I'm really bloated. So I can't really function well right now, right? And you learn to do those things. So for me, one of the things that I learned doing that was being mindful and saying, okay, acknowledging it and saying, okay, this is what I have to do. Vocalize it or write it down in a journal. Hey, this is what I feel. And then the next step is to really based on the symptom and based on what my body is asking, then I do the actual task, right? So
Mhm.
for an example, like if bloating is one of my symptoms, one of the things that I used to do was like, I'm not bloated. Like I literally tell myself, I'm not bloated because I thought that if I do that, then it'll just go away, right?
Mhm.
But I think pain demands to be felt. I think pain is something that it's kind of like a toddler, right? If it screams mom, 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 and you don't pay attention to it, it just gets louder and louder and louder and louder, right? Until then it either does something completely different to get your attention or it just shuts down and it shuts down everything else. Now that toddler doesn't want you, doesn't need you, it doesn't, right? It just is complete shutdown, right? So that's the way I look at it. And so for bloating, there's three things that I do is have I had a bowel movement? Here we are talking about poop. Have I
I love
had
it.
a bowel?
Let's do it.
Have I had a bowel movement? How has my bowel movement been? Have I been outside? Have I walked and have I done that intentional and gentle movement? Have I stretched? What have I done or I haven't done? And so if I can answer that question, then it's the next thing to do. Okay, well, I know like broth helps me. I know having some cooked veggies with a whole grain, so maybe cook some, like stir fry rice, right? I think that would help my bloating, right? Things like that. Because again, getting into that like all or nothing mindset is saying, man, again, I have this problem. I must not be doing something right.
Yeah, I know. I guess for me, on the positive side of that, I think using, like I said before, using my almost mental stubbornness or my, my competitiveness to, I had to use that a lot to say, you know what, I'm going to show you. I was never the fastest. I'm tall, but I'm like a weird mid-size for basketball. I definitely cannot jump. And so for me, my my mentality had always been learned from my dad, like, you will be the hardest worker and you will do that consistently. And that is how you will succeed. And whether that's succeeding, I never even knew professional basketball would be a thing when I grew up. I never knew I
Yeah.
would be able to play overseas. So I was doing that because the satisfaction of my hard work, and I love the sport, right? So for me, using that mentality of like, there has to be another way, right?
Yeah.
And just like we said before, not settling. But I think like what is so interesting, I was thinking about this story, and this is something maybe we can talk about this like offline. But when I was 16 years old, I started to swell and I had really, really bad hives. And so they would come very randomly. They would come around my period. And so times of stress. And I thought it was something related to food. I didn't understand. And it would be swelling randomly all over my body. There would be no way to predict it. When I was a senior in college and we had our last home game, it's senior night. It's a big deal, right? Last time I'm going to play in that arena. We get honored as seniors. The day before, 2 days before, my feet swole so bad I couldn't walk. And I had to get steroid shots to be able to not only stand up, but to play. And there
Wow.
would be times when we were running and doing our conditioning, which is never my forte. Give me a basketball, I'll run all day. Tell me to run down and touch that line, like, ew. And so it's always the one doing extra conditioning and all that. And I had this thought when I was running one time, and it was like, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
And
Yeah.
it was like, I could literally just stop. I could just literally stop running right now. But that was never like, it was more of a thought that how could I roll my ankle enough where I could get out of this, but still play tomorrow? Those are the thoughts I'm having. It was never a thought of quitting, was never an option
The
ever.
option. Yes.
Quitting
Yes,
was never an
absolutely.
option, which I
Yep.
also think could be used in a very positive way,
Yep.
because the
Absolutely.
all or nothing is, I just read something. It was just like, when we in parenting, you don't know what you're doing when you start. You don't know what you're doing, probably today in certain things. When we start a new job, we don't know what we're doing. When we get into a new relationship, hopefully we've grown from the past one, but we still don't know exactly what we're doing. It's the same thing with our health. And I think that when we feel pain, when we are constantly told that we should be tired, when we're constantly told as women that you're at a certain age, when we're constantly told that, well, you're a mom now, so you probably shouldn't have a ton of energy. When we're
Yes.
told all of this stuff, and then you get on social media and you see these beautiful women in their bikinis shaking their asses, and they're like, this is what I eat in a day. And you're like, oh, cool. Well, I'll do that. I'll eat all that. You tell me what to do, right? And we are willing to do the things, but we are so fucking overwhelmed. And then we always end up prioritizing ourselves at the very end of the day, which is you're depleted and you're promising yourself you'll start when the kids go back to school. You're promising yourself you'll start walking for yourself. You promise yourself you'll go get your blood work done in all of these milestones. And we're just constantly programmed to chase weight loss. We're constantly programmed to chase vanity. And don't get me wrong, I want to look in a certain way so I feel good about myself. But the way that we're getting to those places is very, very unhealthy. And
Yep.
we're doing more damage than we understand. And then on top of that, you throw in all of the stress that we're dealing with, and our nervous system is so dysregulated that even if you're eating all the food, even if you're doing all the movement, even if you're doing the journaling and you're ticking all of the boxes because you are a type A go-getter, and you are wanting to bang your head against the wall because you're doing everything, and you're, dropping into bed at the end of the day because you're so fucking tired, we'll then throw in the towel and be like, I don't care.
Yeah. That's
Or
that's what develops that all or nothing
it's an all or
mindset.
nothing,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much information. There's so much, I want to say, even like persuasion, manipulation that's going on within the health industry. And it's been going on forever, right? Now it's just more in our face because of social media and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
we want to do the right thing for ourselves. But there's so much goddamn information on top of what we're dealing with in our normal life, on top of what our symptoms are trying to scream at us, but we're pushing them back down, saying, I'll deal with you another time.
Yep.
That
And
we
then it gets
end
louder
up,
and louder and
that we,
louder.
it'll get louder until you can't get out of bed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, which is totally like in America, like our stress, our normal baseline stress levels are extremely, extremely high. So that's our normal, right? And so we get into a situation, or it just becomes too much and we don't do anything. And that is totally understandable.
Let's
And so I
talk.
think that's when like just like working with you and working with women that are very, it's we're going to be goal setting, we're going to be working towards something. A lot of times with chronic illness, or what you deal with as well as like the gut stuff, it takes a minute. And we have to
Yes.
understand that it took your body a while to get to this spot where it's screaming. It's going to take it a while to get it back down and back regulated. And so just keeping that a part of the process. But, and yeah, so.
Yeah, there's so many good points there. Something that really stuck to me is that is something that I talk about so often, is that we don't have an issue not doing things. We are
Right.
the action takers of the world.
Right.
We are like, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this, right? Speaking of for my own journey, I've tried the paleo, I've tried vegetarian, I've tried keto, I've tried like the detox smoothie stuff. Medical Medium was my Bible. The liver detox book. I knew that thing like the back of my hand. Okay.
Right.
And after I really put forth, and I think this is something that, again, when you have a chronic illness, it is something, this is why social media, that information that is put out there, this is why you have to find someone that specializes in chronic illness or autoimmune, because and again, there's something that I talk about so often. So much information, but none of it is actually ideal for chronic illness or autoimmune. Not because we're different, but because the way that we make connections in our body, the PTSD that even, and literally, I talk about this all the time with my clients, is they have bloating, or they have, this is like within maybe like the first 2 months we work together, and they're like, oh my gosh, I see the rash again. Oh my gosh, I'm having bloating. Oh my gosh. And it's so, I literally physically see it in their face. They begin this downward spiral.
Mhm.
Oh my God, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. And like they always blame themselves, which again,
Mhm.
type A perfectionist. Yeah, that's us. Hello. Hi. Right.
Yeah, we take our symptoms personally.
Personally. Yes.
Guilty as charged. Yep.
Yes, me too. Me too. Right. So it's like, okay, I must have not done enough. Right. And coming back to the thing that you said a little bit earlier, that like you always have to work hard, but there's so much therapy and so much healing in stillness, and really just,
Mhm.
right, just take that breath. Right. So when you see that information, when you see, this girl that has like a six pack
Mhm.
ab, and she's like, what I eat in a day, woo, right? It's just like doing all that stuff, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, like I gotta look like her. I gotta. No, I'm gonna tell you my personal story of weight and things like that. So I was super, super skinny when I was little. Like whenever I saluted the judge, like you would see like my ribs from the front and the back, right? So like not healthy. At 12 years old, I had 12% body fat, not ideal. And I was just like pure muscle in my arms and my abs and my legs. It was just, and everyone
Chiseled.
was like,
It's a little kid.
chiseled, right? And I actually, I recently came across a Instagram page about a girl that this is so funny that we're talking about this now. This girl, I found her through a reel, like when you're like scrolling or whatever, and
Mhm.
you're like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, and it's like for like enjoyment, it's not like mindless scrolling. Oh my God, this is so great. And then you see something and it sticks out to you, and you're like, whoa. And that reel was like a whoa, because she was like, guess what I do? And I don't know, she was like around our age, I think. And she was like, guess what I do? And she had like six pack abs, muscles, whatever. And it was like she showed a picture of her when she was young, and then she showed a picture of now, right? And she was like, I almost look the same. And that like thing of like not aging, and the thing of like just remaining the same, right? And I went through her page and I was like, this girl had to be a gymnast, because I look so similar to that,
Mhm.
super skinny, chiseled, no body fat, right? And sure enough, she was a college gymnast, and then she
Mhm.
went on to do elite, and then that was kind of like the end of her career, and now she does like
Mhm.
fitness coaching, right? And it just brought me to that memory of what I know about, gaining weight and weight loss and being fit, and being comfortable in your own skin, that comes with chronic illness, that comes with gut health, right? Is that I used to have Amy, like on this film specifically, since I can remember, like my youngest of years, which was in the orphanage years, so I was like around 2, 3 years old. I always had this dent in my thumb. Okay. And I always had it, I always had it, I always had it, along with all the other symptoms, right? And that was something that I was always just so ugh, like, what is my body doing? Like, why can this thumb not go away? My other nails were not like that bad as this one thumb, right? On my left thumb. And it really bothered me. Like, when I met my now husband, when I met Pepperine, that was actually something that he was like, did you hurt yourself? Did you like hurt? Like, did you bang your thumb on the door or something? Like, what happened? And I was like, no, it's been like this forever. And he obviously within that conversation, I told him all the things, right? Like what I have, what's going on, and what I do to try to help myself, right? And in the midst of it all, right, we ended up engaged, and then I was pregnant like very soon after that, like almost a year after that. And in the time that I, so around like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, that dent started going away. And I was like, this is so interesting. My entire life. And I got pregnant at 27. I got pregnant at 27. My entire 27 years of life, I've had this and that. Now I'm pregnant, which is also a whole story within itself. I was so afraid because most of chronic illness, you have this infertility issue, right? So I was like, that was a whole other thing that we can talk on another podcast episode. But I was pregnant and I was like, oh my God, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. And then I was like 3 months, 4 months pregnant, I saw it going away. And by the time I was like around 8 months pregnant, it went away, all of it. Like the nail was smooth. Like, you know, like when you have like a nail like indent or like a groove, and then sometimes it goes away, but it's still kind of there. Like I can still feel it, right? It was completely, like it completely vanished. I was like, oh my God, it's a miracle. I will be pregnant for the rest of my life if this is what it takes, right? And again, the all or nothing mindset, right? So then I gave birth to my son, and around 3 months postpartum, I had a few difficulties like breastfeeding and things like that. And I had lost weight. So I had gained like whatever 15 kilos, around like 30 pounds.
Like 30 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. So I gained 30 pounds in Ellie's in my son's pregnancy. And then I had lost all of that plus another 5 pounds. And that was like weird. It was very weird for me because I didn't do anything on regular, right? So it was between maybe because I was trying to breastfeed and I had a hard time breastfeeding. So I was pumping often, right? Like burning the calories and things like that. Like, I don't know. That indent appeared like that. It appeared like that. I lost the weight like that and it appeared like that, right? It just so fast. It all happened. And I was like, well, I thought I knew a lot about my body. But now I'm learning something so new and so foreign to me that actually there has to be a happy weight for your body, a happy weight for you to be mentally sharp, right? These things have to exist. And I was like, I've always heard of this. I didn't think I was the one that needed the stuff, right? I was like, I'm fine. Like I can be, you know, like a certain number of pounds and I don't have to worry about it. Like I'm fine, right? And when that indent showed up, I really did a lot of inner work. And I was like, I think my body needs a specific amount of body fat in order for this liver to actually function. I think I need some like I don't really like eat sweets. I don't really eat that kind of like I just don't nothing against it. I just don't. I like you give me like deli meat and like fruits, I'm set, you know. And so what I can do that, and like that's that, right? But it was at that time when I realized I think I do have to have a more diverse eating. I think I do have to stabilize my weight. I think I do have to do these things. And when I began doing those things, and when I began seeing the weight go up, and I saw my body change once again, I got pregnant very soon after that. And I was like, man, like this is such a cycle for me. So you can imagine like this body image and body dysphoria, so real, right? And then I gave birth to my daughter, and I did not want that to happen. So I made sure I ate consistently. I made sure that I really took care of myself. My daughter's 2 years old, and I've been on my own gut health journey for almost 15 years, right? So it's
Right.
a really long time, right? And when I gave birth to her, again, something very similar, but it was more of like I learned from this, and the information that is out there is not for me. The
Mm,
information that is said, do this, do that, eat this, eat that, it's not for me. So I need something unique. I need something unique, and definitely understood there's a time and a place for everything. The
hmm.
season was not to lose weight. That was not the season. The season was take care of yourself, stay at a stable weight, and your body will be happy. And
Yeah.
that's something that I just preach. Stay at a consistent weight where you feel comfortable and your body does well.
Yeah. And I think, going from a professional athlete to not being a professional athlete, my body changed quite a bit. And it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. It was a very much a part of my internal identity crisis because I was dealing with a lot of issues is if I can't introduce myself as a professional basketball player, then like what the hell makes me special? Who am I now? Who am I? I literally didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think, any sort of identity, whether that's work, whether that's being a wife, being a mama, being whatever, an athlete, an artist, if you feel like you quote unquote lost that thing, and if you feel like when you lost that thing, you lost you, who you are, there's a lot of work to be done. And, when I make fun of the reels and women with, doing my thing is it's not the women and that's not their bodies, it's the false marketing that comes along with it. That's what my issue is. If you
Yes.
want to have a six pack, if you want to be, go into bodybuilding or anything like that, I think that's amazing. I think we just have to realize, ask yourself this question: what amount of effort am I willing to put in to get to this place? And secondly, is my body in a place to carry that effort, right?
Do you
Not only
feel
effort, but
like
recovery.
if you do have a chronic illness or autoimmune, do you feel that it does take longer to recover and
Yes.
longer to achieve our fitness goals?
I do think it takes longer to recover only because when I was sent home in 2020 so I was officially diagnosed in 2018, but I had it now that I know what the symptoms are. this
Yeah,
I've had
yeah,
symptoms for a very, very long time. Obviously, starting
yeah.
when I was 16, something was off. So a
Okay.
lot of time, like hives and stuff, anything, skin stuff, it's going to be gut centered, right?
Yep.
Whether that's gut centered or whether that's specifically immune, which is also in our
Hmm.
gut.
Hmm.
I did not know that. I didn't even know that autoimmune had anything to do with gut stuff. I mean, it was very
Right.
separate. Like I literally know, and neither did my parents, and neither did our doctors who I had to see doctors when I was growing up, right? And so when I was sent home in 2020, I was working from home, but it was the first time in my life, don't look at even chronic illness, my life, I was able to rest. And
Wow.
that
Wow.
was when my healing, or it was, and I know people are like, ugh, healing, ugh, whatever. Oh, it's kind of like this, everybody's over it, to be honest with you. Everybody's over it.
Yes.
Everybody's over the word transformation. Everybody's over it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like I just want to feel good. I
Yeah.
don't want all the woo woo shit, even though it is a part of it. But whatever, like I don't, that's fine. We don't have to talk about anything like that. But I'm telling you, when I was able to rest, that was when I felt the difference. And I stopped working out because I needed to rest. When working out
Yeah.
doesn't, it's, your body. When working out feels either shitty in the moment, or you are so sore you can't walk, or you cannot recover from that workout, or if you finish that workout and the endorphins that you once felt are not there anymore, that is a very clear sign that you are not ready for that type of workout.
Yeah.
So yes, I do believe. So I rested for a long time, and then slowly but surely I started to kind of figure out what worked for me. But also what's really tough is I just I like you, I want to find out what works for each individual person. Now my
Yes.
body is very different from yours or anybody else's. So my foundation of my athleticism, of my resting heart rate, of all that, it's very different. And
Yes.
so I kind of also, and I don't know if you've ever fallen into this, I also sometimes I got into a trap of kind of using my diagnosis as boxing myself in
Okay.
and
Yeah.
saying, because I have this, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But for
Oh yeah.
me, it's
Yeah.
like,
Go ahead.
can I not do that? Or
Yeah.
can I try it and see how it works? Can I try it and modify it? And so
Yes.
sometimes I tended to use my diagnosis as an excuse to not do the things that I know would actually support my body, right? And
Yes.
so when people tell me I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, just working with people or doctors saying, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, but I've been doing that my whole life. And maybe I'm not doing it at the same extreme level or at the same extreme quantity that I was doing it, but I do know, like, for instance, strength training for me, it works. I am a
Yeah.
huge believer in strength training for women for all ages, for our time, because I want
Yep.
to age with grace. I want to be able
Yep.
to get up off the floor. I want to be able to pick up my niece and nephew and all of these things. But also, it's the one thing that my body responds to. When
Yep.
I feel strong, I am confident.
Absolutely.
And so for
Absolutely.
me, it's finding how can I implement this in my life in a sustainable way that's supportive to my body and also making sure I get adequate recovery because sleep is everything, right?
Yeah.
Sleep is absolutely everything. But just kind of going more off of what you said before, I just kept thinking, and one of my biggest like aha moments for myself and my clients is, do you have a weight problem or do you have a worth problem?
Yes. Bingo. I need to give you
Because
a megaphone for that one and just scream it
it's my favorite
because
thing
this,
because
yes.
the more I have done work on myself or inner work, or if it sounds silly, I just want to tell you that if we don't raise our awareness and we don't figure out who we are and you don't voice who you are, those nagging symptoms are going to they're going to be there forever.
Yeah.
And or you're going to get to your weight loss goal and you're going to still feel an empty feeling of why don't I feel better? Why don't
Yeah.
I feel more confident? And so
Absolutely.
we really have to be kind of simultaneous, especially if you're a go-getter type A. You tell me how to, tell me to jump, I'll say how high. Because these are the women I'm working with that are just like badass women taking on the whole world.
Yep.
And they're like, Amy, I'm doing everything. I'm
Everything.
eating
Yeah.
perfectly. I'm
Yes.
moving perfectly. I'm journaling. I'm fucking rising with the sun. Like, what am I not doing? Is it me?
Yeah.
What am I not doing? So
Yeah.
if we do not address, and I really believe that most of us women are walking out with an internal belief that we are not enough.
Absolutely.
And
Hands
so
down.
if we do not believe that we are enough in whatever way your brain is telling you that, nothing external will ever, ever, ever meet your
Be
expectations.
enough.
No,
Absolutely.
no
Absolutely.
relationship, no money, no weight loss, no whoever's looking you back in the mirror, no six pack,
No
nothing,
elimination diet. None.
nothing that
None.
you are
None.
chasing, no
Yeah.
external goal that you're chasing is ever going to be enough until you validate that you're enough right now. And that's a big part of the chronic illness, I think, and the identity of, I mean, I think all of us can relate into that way of like, how many women, when I ask them, hey, what are we working towards? Oh, 2 years ago, I was doing this, this, and this. I looked like this. I did this. And we're chasing a version of the past.
Yes.
But in the meantime, 2 years later, we have accumulated different parts of our life. We've accumulated different stressors. Your body may be in a different place because if we were dealing with stuff 2 years ago, but we didn't know we were dealing with it, that's 2 more years of your body supporting you and trying to fight for you where you're at that we have to deal with. And so we need to create some new versions of the version of us that we want to get to. We need to do that in different ways instead of fighting for our, limitations. I can't do this because I don't like this food because I can't walk outside in the rain because we need to find better solutions, but solutions that are sustainable
Work
and
for you.
solutions that feel
Yeah.
good to you. And
Yeah.
they may not feel good in the moment. And I just posted yesterday, stop relying on motivation and let's find ways to support your energy because if you have more energy, I guarantee it, you're going to have more motivation. It's going to
Yep.
be easier to say, I don't feel like going on my walk, but I'm going to go on my walk because it's a meditative process for me. I get the best ideas or I just get away from this house right now where I need some quiet space for myself. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
we can kind of make those decisions in the moment, but we have to stop relying on motivation. And at some point we have to stop, I call it making decisions, out of comfort rather than out of supportive of the future you, right?
Yeah.
Supportive of the you of tomorrow. Because
Yeah.
I was in a really dark place just beginning of this year, and last year was one of the hardest years mentally I've had in a long time. And because I was in a dark place, I was continuing to make decisions that would give me comfort in the moment, but that was adding to that place I was in.
Yeah.
And so, whatever help you have to get, whether that's therapy, whether that's reaching out to your doctor and saying, I need some extra support right now. But we have to get you into a place where we are aware of that decision making, and we are making decisions for the you of tomorrow, but also decisions that feel good to you. So that doesn't mean that we are motivated to change our life on Monday and we get the gym membership and we're promising to go to the gym 5 days a week, and we're promising that we're going to eliminate sugar, we're going to eliminate alcohol, we're going to eliminate smoking, and we're going to do everything all at
Everything.
once. God damn it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to succeed this time because enough is enough. And you are absolutely right. Enough is enough, but we can do it in a much more sustainable way while working on ways to support who you are and really what do you want. Because a lot
Yes.
of times I'm guilty of this. I can say a lot of goals that sound good because I've gotten a lot of external validation for saying the right things. I'm going to scale my business to 7 figures in a year. Everybody's like, wow, good for you, dude. I'm like, yeah, right. And then I'm like, no, I think really, what do you want? And are you setting goals to get there? Do we have a focus to get there? And if your focus is to get more rest, God bless you. If your focus is to feel better and eliminate XYZ symptoms, yeah, let's do that. Maybe it doesn't include a lot of exercise right now. Maybe it includes slow movement. You don't have to be killing yourself towards a goal.
Yep.
That
You know
doesn't
what?
mean anything more
You
or
know,
less.
you know why I think it's scary? Why this is what I think is scary, why we have a hard time thinking about make decisions for your future self is because there was a time and a point in my own journey where I woke up every single morning with a new symptom. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, today I wanted to do this and now I really can't, right? Like I am cramping up. I couldn't move. I had leg cramps. Then the morning after I would have a headache. And then the morning after that, I would have a backache. The morning after that, I would have a moon face and all that, all that comes with having, every single morning you wake
Mm-hmm.
up with brand new symptoms and you're making these plans. Sometimes it's so hard to do that. And it's for me personally, I think it was really scary to start doing that, to make these choices and these decisions, because it's like, you know what? I've been waking up for the past years every single morning with brand new symptoms. Why can't I just do an extreme and see results really fast? Why can't I just do that? Because I like enough is enough, right? In the way that we have connected those thoughts, we are our own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, that's why like medical medium, that's why it was my Bible, that liver detox book. It's now burned. It is now burned and gone with all the full
Mm-hmm.
moons that have ever existed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is done for. But that was why. Because I was like, this is the end of all. This is going to help me. I'm going to stop having
Mm.
the bloating, the moon face, the this, the that. And it was just double. It was double the symptoms after
But you
that. And
bring up
so then I
such a
went harder.
Yeah, you bring up such a good point though, because we want it to be the one thing. We want
Yes.
it to be we want the thing.
The thing. Yes.
And I think that's where we're willing to go after the thing, but when that does it ends up not being the thing.
The thing.
We
And
get
then
so yeah, it's so disappointing. We get so what is it?
let down. I was
Defeated.
just,
Defeated.
yes. Yes.
And so
Yes.
I think that's such a good point. And I think too with the information you provide, y'all, it's so many things and they're connected. So if
Yes.
we can get out of the mentality of searching for the one thing, the one diet, the one food, the one workout, the one, it's not only going to be like, okay, this didn't work for me, let's try this. This didn't work for me, let's try this. But
Yes.
we have to still have all of these things in motion for your whole body to feel different types of effects. And secondly, you know, we have to be and try something new and try something small. Be
Yes.
consistent with that thing to see if it works. Because when we say nothing works, what are we doing? What are the things that we're doing consistently? What are you doing
Yeah.
consistently that you're saying that
Yeah.
nothing works?
And
Because we
how
have,
long have
and
you
how
been
long?
doing it
Because
for?
there's
So,
so
like,
many
what is
different
it?
factors that could be at
Yes.
play here. So yeah,
Yes.
that's such a beautiful point. Like, and it's just human nature to be like, oh, that's what I'm missing. That
Yes.
is what
Yes.
I am missing.
I want to give you a few kind of like my mind and the way that my mind works is I want everything to be super logical, right? So I want to give a few time stamps and like the logical sense of why the more times that you go for an extreme or the more time that you're focusing on one year, because nothing in the body happens in isolation. Nothing.
Mhm.
If you have a cold, there's something else going on. If
Mhm.
something else is going on, there's a third. Nothing happens. And this is why I really truly why I started my own gut health journey was I realized when I was consistent in it for years, it was
Mhm.
7 years, Amy, before I actually decided this is the thing that I want to be consistent in.
Mhm.
7 years. In that 7 years, so I've been doing this for 15 years. My first 2 years, I still took medication and supplements. My first
Mhm.
2 years, so I knew about it. I was learning about it. I was like, this all sounds fabulous, but I'm gonna still do this, right? So it's
Right.
2 years of that, and then it took 7 years and a lot of conversations with my husband, with my therapist, with my friends, with my parents. It took a lot of vocalization, journaling, a lot of stuff like that to say, oh, okay, this is this is going to work until I actually put in my whole body into this, not just like dipping my toes whenever I feel like it. Right. I can't be like, I'm on a gut health journey and I'm going to help my gut brain connection and I'm going to drink all the broth and I'm going to do all the things that supposedly is gut health. But then, like every 3 weeks, I'd be like, that detox thing looks really great. Let me go do
Mhm.
that real quick, right? It's like
Mhm.
putting your whole body and effort into it. So 7 years. After those 7 years, so it was 7 years, and on the year after, I met my husband. And I think who we surround ourselves with is extremely important as well
Mhm.
while we're talking about the validations and the time and the consistency. I think that matters. Community matters, support matters. I think it really does. Because when I say this wholeheartedly and it sounds funny, but it's so true. When my poops began being good, and I stopped having diarrhea and I stopped, like I said, just the three main things that I started with was like checking out what are my bowel movements like? Have I been outside? Right. Those things. When that started happening, when I was consistent in that, it almost feels like even the poopy people left. Right. So when my poops got right, the poopy people left. And I met my husband and we had this conversation about consistency and like, hey, by the way, this is kind of the journey I'm on. And I was really vocal about it. And I think that's another thing is like being vocal about it and letting other people know around you, hey, this is what I'm doing. And it's nothing that's going to, you don't have to spend a lot of time doing that whole, but it's exactly how you said, it's really tuning in into who you are, what is your personality, what fitness regimen, if a fitness regimen is even right for you, or is it more of just like daily walking or trying to find ways that you can, I used to have a client who fitness was not really her thing. So it was walking or vacuuming her house.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
that's
Movement is
ideal.
movement.
Movement is
Yeah.
movement, right? And so when we begin to kind of have that, because again, making that decision for the future is scary, especially for the years before you're like, man, oh, here's another symptom. Oh, here's another thing, right? But when you begin to actually get the entire picture, you zoom out and you say, okay, I can vacuum the house. Jetta, what are you talking about? I can do that. Yeah, of course, sure. Oh, I don't have to drink broth every day. Okay, good. Because like broth is not my thing. Okay, right? And the uniqueness, exactly what you're saying before, the uniqueness must be there.
Yeah.
So here's the timestamps of things. So if we continue to focus on the one extreme, so every 24 hours, our gut microbe changes. So if yesterday you had bloating, you have a really big chance if you are doing, the walking and the stretching and you're eating food, you're not doing
Mhm.
detoxes, right? Stuff like that. You have a very high chance, like 90% chance for the next day to not have bloating. Or I'm going to take it a step further because every 24 hours our gut microbe changes for the good or for the bad. But if that is the case, then what you felt yesterday, just like take this. What you felt yesterday, you have a higher chance of not feeling that way than you actually do of feeling the same way. Okay,
Mhm.
so every 24 hours, right? So really literally taking it day by day is like the best thing.
Mhm.
Every 7 days, our body goes through a metal and mineral rejuvenation. So, for all the small traumas in our life, like arguing with a loved one, losing your wallet, emotionally stabilizing children, that is actually what I call like a touch and go to your trauma, to like your trauma, right? So, that was a trauma, but it's small. Your nervous system went to fight and flight. And then very soon after that, it went into rest and digest. So parasympathetic and sympathetic, right? So every 7 days, our body goes through, oh, you had this trauma, you had this trauma, you had this trauma. After 7 days, so let's say today you have an argument with your loved one. Every 7 days, your body says, okay, these are the minerals that you need to re up on. So your body's actually going to tell you, hey, I need this food. I need that food. So the cravings and the feelings of and even the fact of being outside or needing to rest or things like that, every 7 days your body's going to tell you that. So if it seems like you're all the time like just going through a rejuvenation because all the time you're having this trauma effect,
Mhm.
that means that we need to do something where you are not so depleted in your metals and your minerals and you really create that nutrient dense
Mhm.
plate. This is why we say this. This is why that when we talk about eating more diverse or more nutrient dense, that's why we talk about that. Is because when we are doing elimination diets, when we are doing, let's say how you were saying, like, oh yeah, so today I'm going to do this and I'm going to not eat sugar and I'm going to,
Mhm.
right? That's why we actually tend to, the same thing in weight loss. When we do the extreme, then we go
Mhm.
10 times harder. Exactly like how I said when I was
Mhm.
on medical medium, right? It was like, oh my God, I need to go harder than I'm not doing enough, right? But that's why, because we're literally depleting our mineral and our metal imbalances, which we need for absorption, right? And digestion. And so when we do that, then now you give your body literally the 7 days and start feeling like every single day something is brand new. Okay.
Mhm.
And then it takes 7 years for our body, like our skin, our bone, our nail tissue, our hair, our skin. It takes 7 years for that to completely change. So speaking of time and doing something
Yeah.
consistently enough, it takes 7 years. Are some people faster because maybe they're younger and that rejuvenation stage is a little bit more at a higher rate? Or if you're older, 65 and over, that can happen a little bit slower. But regardless, 7 is the average years. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, how long is long? How long do I have to do this consistently? Within 3 days, because every 24 hours you're going to have the gut micro change. Within 3 days, you're going to have better bowel movements, more complete bowel movements. So that's 3 days, right? And then in 3 months, then you're going to actually start feeling better. So you're going to stop waking up with brain fog. You're going to stop waking up with brand new symptoms. 3 months. And by 1 year, you actually will feel a big difference in your symptoms. So reduced symptoms, you're going to feel way less brain fog. You're going to feel just better in your skin, whether it's because you lost weight or because you gained weight or because whatever the case may be, it's kind of like you just feel less inflamed type of deal, right? So in that 1 year. So in the grand scheme of things, if we keep doing the extremes, we are adding about 7 years of this process.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
No, 1,000%. And but the thing that I kept also thinking about, because I like that you like literally like this is what's happening. So, are you contributing to that? How are you contributing to that? Is really the question.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the thing is like when I work with my clients, I want success for you. I want whatever symptoms like I know if we do what we need to do, your symptoms are going to be reduced. I know you're going to feel better. And when we create a plan, my dig deeper package is my bread and butter. I love it.
Yeah.
It's going to give us the poop testing, it's going to give us the blood test, it's going to give us all of the data. We are going to have so much effing data on what is going
Yeah.
on in your body. We are going to give it and we are going to create a food plan. We are going to create a supplement plan. We're going to create a movement plan. We are going to check in. We are going to, set goals but we can do all of this. It's up to that client to follow through.
Absolutely.
The
I
biggest
literally
part,
say it in my
yeah,
expectation.
it's your
Like
choice.
your results is based on
It's
how
your
much you
choice.
do. That's
This is
it.
what
So
if you want to feel better or your goals are XYZ, we can do this and we can, modify and tweak in between. The biggest part, like we said before, it's not the information, it's the follow through for yourself. And that is a
yes,
worth issue. And when you were
yes,
saying in 7 years, your poop's getting better, the poopy people are falling off. And my whole thing is like, yeah, because you put your flag in the sand and said, I am prioritizing myself and my health. And
yep,
because you had that focus, because you had to make decisions to support yourself and your gut health in social situations, with your family, with your new now husband, you had to have those conversations and say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. And as natural process, more people will be gravitated into your life to support that.
yeah,
Less people that are not on that journey with you will drop off. And
yep,
so it's whether that is a health journey, whether that is honestly like you going after your dreams in any sort of way, if you, whatever flag you're putting in the sand and you keep sticking to that, to your word, if you get into the habit of following through for yourself, when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. That is how you gain confidence. That is how you get self esteem. That is
yes.
how you will start
Giving
to see
yourself proof.
people coming into your life. And the thing
Yes,
is there is no end game.
yes,
There is no end game. So when you're saying how long will this take? Well, how long did it take for your body to get into this place right now?
yep,
So it's going to take a minute, but it depends on what your goals are. And I really hope that your goal is to long term, is to have energy, is to have vitality. Do you have vitality? Are you living your life? Are you existing? At the end of 2022, I was talking to my friend and she literally said, "It sounds like you're just existing." And I'm like, "Oh
yes,
my God." That's literally how I feel. I'm not living my life. I'm reacting to my day. I
yes,
am at the end of the day, I'm doing the same things that are not setting me up for tomorrow. And if you are in the moment right now where you're waking up every day with a new symptom, all you need to, your only goal right now is to reach out for some help.
yes.
You don't,
Absolutely.
that's your decision for today and tomorrow.
Yep, yep,
No, no, if and if things change, like I plan on walking today, but it's not going to work out for me, that's okay. But we need to be pursuing an option for where you can feel better.
yes,
That's your decision today and tomorrow.
yep.
And so no pressure, putting on yourself or anything like that. But I just, I'll share something with you that I haven't said anything about on social media or anything like that. This Sunday will be 7 weeks for me of alcohol free.
Wow,
There is
wow.
something, and I've had this intuition, and I have been hit and miss. And in the last 7 weeks, I've really analyzed, if I say I want these things, I need to have energy.
Embody it.
If I have
Embody
to
the
have
whole thing. Putting your
energy,
whole body
if
into
I
it.
have to
Yes,
have energy, what is blocking my energy? And a
yes.
lot of roads led back to alcohol for me. And in the last 7 weeks, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. I've been doing not only and the other two things is I was having issues with bowel movements and I was having issues with low blood sugar. Low blood
Mhm.
sugar was very much blood sugar regulation is like my favorite effing topic besides poop. Blood sugar
Yes.
regulation is so important in anyone's healing journey. Diabetes is up like tenfold right now. Type 2
I
is very much that something that we can get a hold of, but like
I call
I
blood sugar stabilizing and knowing blood sugar. I call that the key that unlocks
yeah.
everything
And so
else. Yeah,
I'm a walker. I love walks. I have a
yeah,
beautiful all white boxer who's the goofiest little angel walking this earth. So that's him, and I are just walking buddies.
yeah.
I was going out my morning walks and I was sweating profusely in not hot weather, and I was so dizzy I almost had to call my husband to come pick me up. That is
Wow.
not me. My body is telling me something is off, and I've been struggling with some hypoglycemia, and all of the reading I'm doing is, hey, alcohol can be a contributor. Alcohol can be a contributor. And I've also had a gut intuition, which I think is, we didn't even get into this, that's saying that, listen, if you actually want to keep your word to yourself, you eat decently, not consistently. You move decently, not consistently. Why? Because
Yeah,
I don't feel like I have energy. Why?
yeah,
Because I'm soothing myself at night with a drink to relax. Why do I need to feel like I need to relax? And so you just kind of go down this rabbit hole.
yeah,
And I've been analyzing my relationship with alcohol.
yeah.
And it's not that
Your
my drinking
curiosity kept
was,
you alive. Your
it's not,
curiosity kept that
yeah,
question of why alive.
but I just
Absolutely.
want to note that it's not about my drinking being extreme. My drinking habits are
Right,
common. So
right.
look at the habits that are common. that are
Yeah.
normal, that in our society is mamas, you need that glass of wine. Mamas, you earn that glass of wine. But at the
Just
other
because
side
it's
that we
normal
know
doesn't mean it's
we
common. So
we
like,
yeah, on the other side we know that sleep is everything. And if you're a mama, I don't I my respect goes to women in general. I have such a passion for supporting women, but moms, you are on another effing level of respect,
yeah, thank
yeah, of
you.
leadership, of everything. And so I just want to, evaluate your relationship with alcohol, evaluate your relationship with food, evaluate your relationship with movement, evaluate
Yes.
your relationship with yourself and how you view yourself, how you talk to yourself,
Yep.
evaluate yourself in a relationship with money.
Yep.
We have relationships with all of these things, and those relationships are contributing to how you are supporting yourself.
Yes.
They're contributing to how you talk to yourself, which will then how you feel about yourself, which then is how you act upon your like to yourself. Do you do the
Yeah.
thing? Do you
It's
not do the thing?
self-respect. Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, being able to be in social situations and just say no when people are like, "Hey, just have one with us, have one." Because I drinking's been a part of my life since I went to Arizona State. Everybody, GSOP, like hello parties, like hello. And I enjoy drinking. I enjoy the social aspect of it, but I've been able to put my flag in the sand for 7 weeks, y'all, and so many
I
other
love that.
parts of
I
my
love that.
life
I'm clapping.
as
I love that.
just other positive things have happened since that moment. Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the alcohol, has everything to do with me following through on what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's forever. It's just right now. And that is all we need
But
to
it
know.
feels good.
Feels
Yes.
so
It
fucking
feels
good. I
good.
feel good, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you don't have to
Yes.
have the answers for the future, but what can we do to support yourself right now?
Love it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I love it. Amy, tell us what you got going on. Tell us
Yeah.
how people can find you.
Yes.
Yeah, anything else you want to
Yeah.
share about your services? Go
Yeah. Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
This
Thank
is a
you.
shameless plug. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm actually relaunching my podcast. It's called the Chronic Athlete Podcast. It'll
Yay.
be September 1st. And I know that I don't know when this will be out. Your episode will be September 6th. So y'all, if you want to
Yay.
have a total like same but totally different, because I think you and I could have a podcast and just we could do this all day.
All day.
Um
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
Jetta's episode drops September 6th. I would love if you would. We had some really great guests on there. Take a listen. It's the new episode coming out. It's called The Comeback. Kind of talks about me burning out and why I literally just said F everything and stopped. So, and then also I'm just offering my Dig Deeper package, which offers the GI map. So that's stool testing. So if we want to look at your gut health, we need to look inside your gut. And then I also it's called MRT blood test, and it just tests what foods is causing inflammation in your body today. So we can support function, we can take out a little bit of inflammation. And the whole point, y'all, is that we are not eliminating things forever. We are
Yep.
supporting function and bringing foods
Yes,
back
ma'am.
in. And
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
yeah, that's my bread and butter. It's where
How
we
can
get the
people find
most.
you?
Chronic Athlete Podcast. I am at Amy Ray Nutrition on Instagram, amyraynutrition@gmail.com. And if you have any questions specifically around thyroid, autoimmune, being an athlete and that transition, I would love to just chat with you.
Thank you, Amy. This was so
Thanks so
amazing. We
much.
went in so deep. Thank you so much. If you are at this part of the show, I want you guys to check out the show notes because all the stuff will be down there. And we also have a timestamp in that show note of when Amy is dropping some serious golden nuggets. So if you are at this part of the show, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for being with
listening.
us, y'all.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.